Hey guys, welcome back to Seduce Me to the Demon War. So we're going to continue, I believe, Damien's part, right? Yes. Okay, yes, Damien's part. So I look around and I hear Diana's voice in the air. Just hearing her ask that one question filled the air with dark and menacing tension. However, it was impossible. How was she here? Diana, where are you?
You didn't answer my question.
Why should I? Show yourself. What the? As I looked at the mirror, I gasped. Instead of my reflection, I saw a dark shadow with gold eyes staring at me. I would know those cruel eyes anywhere. Diana.
How does it feel to be inches away from marrying the man of your dreams?
Are you okay? You seem like a little diseased.
A frisky bridezilla, aren't you? Tell me first, how do you feel now that Damien's no longer who he was?
I mean, what?
Remember, he was born a demon, and you took that away from him. Well, I did anyway. At your request, of course.
He wanted to be human. This was insane. Why was I arguing with her when she was a shadow in the mirror? Diana let out a dark laugh.
You don't even know who you're marrying, do you? Damien, the human who was a demon. What's next? Will he demand to be a woman instead? He could easily be one. Oh, wait. He can't because he no longer has the ability to do so himself.
Why do you even care? He can do what he wants.
But do you even know what he wants? I want to go to the human world. I want to be human. Tell me, can you give him everything he wants? I want my mother back. I want to forget that I was ever a demon. I want to forget I was even born.
Stop! I couldn't take it any longer. I grabbed the lamp from my nightstand and lifted it, ready to smash the mirror into pieces. However, as I looked back in the mirror, it only showed my reflection. Diana was gone.
I knew it! I knew it! That girl has demon magic.
It's not a secret.
Then quit gawking and let's take her!
Oh, god damn it.
The demon lord will be so pleased.
Whew. Before I could turn to search for the voices, I felt hands grab hold of my feet, and I looked down and lifted my dress. Two pairs of evil-looking hands had taken hold of my ankles, reaching through a dark red and purple pentagram. I shrieked, trying to pull my legs away, but I couldn't stop them as they swiftly pulled me into the ground. I was pulled deeper into the darkness, so I was no longer in my room. I was being dragged through a dark void, one that I couldn't escape. Again, dragged down to hell before my wedding. I don't know why anyone ever leaves me alone before my wedding. It doesn't make any sense. I reached out and clawed at the dark, trying to find something to grab onto. I tried to pull my legs away from the hands that were holding them, but couldn't pull free. Help! As if someone heard my screams, I suddenly felt the hands let go and disappear, leaving me to float in the darkness they left me in. I shut my eyes. Please let this be a dream. I finally felt a surface under my feet, and I collapsed onto it, my body curling in on itself from the experience I had. I didn't dare tear my eyes away from my lap, not ready to get up just yet. The voice I heard, however, made my heart stop.
You! What are you doing here?
Oh, snap. Wait a minute. Ooh! Okay, so apparently in Damien's route, I also fall into the demon world. I'm just gonna say this real quick and make sure that I'm right. One man looked like an orc from a fantasy game without the tusks. He had broken horns and a very frightening aura around him as he stared at me. The other male was lanky in comparison, more human-like, but I could almost feel power emanate from him regardless. One of the women who was staring at me had rabbit ears. Rabbit ears. They seemed to twitch on top of her head as she looked at me and gripped her staff. She seemed harmless, yet she had animal ears. The one creature that I couldn't discern the sex of seemed more excited to see me than surprised. What freaked me out about them was that they had wings sticking out from their back, and they were floating. The last woman, however, set off alarm bells in my head as I looked at her surprised face, her hair, her eyes. Diana? As she stared, the woman turned her body toward me in recognition to the name I called her. It was her.
What are you doing here?
Well, you were screaming at me in the mirror, and then something took me. Before Diana could speak further, most likely to repeat herself, a figure quickly stepped up and bowed to her, kneeling beside me.
My lady, please forgive me. I felt something moving between our worlds and assumed the Demon Lord was to blame, so I intercepted his summoning of this human.
You! So I wasn't the only one who felt the change in the air.
Diana stared at the man kneeling beside me as I kept my eyes up at her. As she turned her gaze back to me, I gulped silently. What was she going to do with me? This all felt wrong. I was about to be married. I was about to live my life happily ever after with the man I loved. Now I was in a place I didn't know with Diana and a bunch of other creatures I didn't recognize. My instinct was to... Okay, so the same thing happened so far in Matthew's route, his part 2. And I chose stay still, so I'm gonna pick a different one this one. You know, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I guess cry. I don't want to be mean to them. I start crying. I began to cry profusely. As I felt warmth suddenly spread through my body, I slowly stopped and felt fresh air rushing to my lungs. What was happening? I looked up to see Diana kneeling down with a very concerned look on her face, her visible eye glowing a warm gold color. She stared at me. Was she enthralling me? I didn't feel aroused like I felt usually whenever I was enthralled, but I felt calm and almost mellow.
Calm down.
Well, I guess I have no choice.
Now, can you tell me what happened? Take your time and try to remember everything.
Succubus, we have no time for... Shh!
Let her do her thing! The human obviously knows her. And she obviously needs help. Poor thing.
Why did she call her Diana, though?
That must have been the human name she used while she was in the human world. Smart.
All of you, please!
Silence engulfed the room as Diana looked at the 4 beings behind her. She then turned back to me and held out her hand, ushering me to take it.
Can you stand?
I nodded and took her hand, standing up at last. I looked around the other beings in the room. They all kept their gaze to me, unsure what I would do or say. Diana, however, led the conversation.
First, can you tell me what happened to you?
You were saying a bunch of gross stuff to me, and then you... Well, I guess not necessarily you. Something pulled me down the hill.
A shadow summoning?
Sure that.
One of yours couldn't have.
On my honor, it wasn't any of mine. We have nothing to gain from kidnapping a human. Nor do we know who this woman is, anyhow.
My lady, if I may, I clearly remember hearing imp demons in the void along with her. It must have been the Demon Lord's henchmen.
Those damnable creatures. That explains it.
Diana crossed her arms and looked to me again.
Well, dear, it seems that you were to be either a new harem girl for the Demon Lord to ravish, or bait for the boys to return to their father's side. Either way, I doubt you would have lived long had the Demon Lord gotten his hands on you.
A violent shiver ran up my spine. Was it true? I would have died?
Wait a minute. This girl knows about the Demon Lord's heirs?
Yes, they're my harem. Oh, whoops.
Wait a...
Yes. Hilariously enough, she was set to marry one of them, as you can see from her garb.
My garb.
Well, since you do not belong here, the obvious thing to do is to send you home.
I couldn't help but stare wide-eyed at Diana. She was really going to send me home? Really? I couldn't believe my ears. You will really send me back?
Of course. It should be easy to do once everything is in order. It'll be like you never left the human world.
Sweet. Apparently, I don't
do you
realize
not
I'm in the
realize
demon
where you
world. I
are?
think it's pretty obvious.
You are in the demon world.
My mind went blank. I couldn't be. Impossible.
Do not panic. We will send you back now, so there's nothing to worry about.
How will you power the spell? Bringing someone here is no easy task, but sending someone back consumes much more energy.
I'll use what energy I have now and rest. We can organize the siege another time when I fully recover. It's not like the Demon Lord can escape the corner we've trapped him in, so we do have some time to spare.
You'd waste time and energy on this human. We must strike now while the Demon Lord is weakened.
But the human doesn't belong here. She needs to go home.
Shall I prepare the return spell?
Do. I grant you permission to use my energy to power the spell.
With a nod, the lanky man held his hands toward the wall. I looked over the direction it was aimed at. Diana's shadow? I watched as Diana's shadow simply stood against the wall, mirroring the movements of the real succubants in the room. But before my eyes, the shadow began to morph and expand on the wall on its own. I looked back to see Diana to see her wrapping her arms around herself and curling her shoulders over as if she was in pain. Her nails embedded themselves into her forearms, and I could barely make out a painful hiss escaping her clenched teeth. Was the spell hurting her that badly? I turned back to the wall to see Diana's shadow shaking and vibrating as if it was resisting the change the man was forcing on it.
You will obey my command. Open the gates to the void, and allow passage to the world we seek.
Transitum per renan pieto tranibes. Ubi aperit. Iano ian. Desediam.
Upon Diana's final word, her shadow burst and expanded into an oval-shaped doorway. I stared wide-eyed at the passage before a hand placed itself on my shoulder, forcing me to look over. The one with its spear gently pressed my shoulder forward and looked down at me with an almost certain face.
You must leave now. The faster you leave, the quicker we can close the void.
Go! Go! Go get married!
I'm a-going. I quickly nodded and lifted the bottom of my dress, stepping forward to make a run for the passageway. However, before I could bolt towards my freedom, a snarl echoed through the room.
How dare you interfere with my summoning!
It's Daddy-o. At the very moment, Diana began to scream, arching her spine and throwing her head back. Around her body were red-tinted bolts of lightning flashing and shocking her form.
No! Human! Use the passage! Now!
I'm trying.
Human will never, ever leave this world alive! You spineless word!
Close the portal! The Demon Lord might get through!
But the human...
Close it!
As commanded, the man pulled his hand back, visually forcing his arm back behind his body, and Diana's shadow quickly began to morph back into a simple shadow. The electricity around Diana faded away and she began to tip forward. The man with the spear dropped his weapon and caught Diana in his arms, cradling her to his body as she panted and gasped for air.
I don't sense the Demon Lord anywhere.
The worm has to scurry through the shadows to try and fight back. He'll be dead soon enough.
How is she, guard?
Diana seemed to look uninjured, but her body was twitching from the aftermath of a magical attack. Her visible eye was shut tight as she dug her fingers into the guard's jacket to cling to him. As her eye opened, I saw not a blood ruby red color, but I saw a cold and unfriendly golden color painted over her iris. Her mouth opened as she panted for air, and I could see hunger in her facial expression, but she continued to stare at the wall, not wanting to make eye contact with anyone.
There are no physical wounds, but she's been weakened. I must give her my energy so she can recover.
The man swiftly moved and hooked an arm underneath Diana's knees, lifting her up bridal style as she clung to his jacket, shivering. The spear that had fallen to the floor faded in black and purple mist as she quickly left the room with her in his arms. My mind, however, began to panic.
There's an imp in the castle. That is the only way the demon...
I wonder
Lord
if all
could have
the
been able to
other
interfere.
brothers are going to have the same... I'm going to end up in the demon world thing.
You! Guards by the door! Hunt it down!
A pair of guards that were apparently by the door saluted the one commanding them and ran off. I felt out of place, alone, and terrified as to what was going to happen. The Demon Lord wanted me here, and his words pounded at my mind. How was I going to get home?
Hey.
I looked up to see the winged person hovering near me before they moved and sat on their knees on the stone ground beside me.
We'll get you home, okay? Diana just needs a little rest, okay?
She needs more than rest. She needs to use a different spell to send her back. The Demon Lord will expect her to use the shadow spell again.
How about the normal way? I'm sure we can connect to a witch, or even the warlock she used before, to reopen a portal to the human world.
The warlock she used to get to the human world died, remember? And he was the most powerful warlock in the human world, practically a god himself. What other human could be used to open a portal without another human dying?
It was merely a suggestion. The faster we get this human home, the faster we can move on and finish off the Demon Lord.
Well, what are we going to do with a human now?
We can give her a room to rest in. Humans need sleep after all. Maybe by the time she wakes up, we'll think of a solution.
Come.
The woman with rabbit ears looked down at me and lowered her hand to me, inviting me to take it. She had a kind but concerned expression on her face, so I trusted her. I slowly took her hand and began to stand up as a fairy figure brushed off the small patches of dust that I accumulated on my dress. I couldn't do anything. I was forced to listen to the beings around me because there was nothing else I could do. Without them, I couldn't get home. My heart ached, but I had to accept my predicament.
Here, I'll bring you to the open ambassador's room. You are free to rest there for now.
What about Diana?
She'll be fine. She's being taken care of right now.
Why not just say she's getting fucked?
Oh,
And the
Jesus.
brute strikes again with the lack of tasteful filtering between his brain and his mouth. You still have yet to prove me wrong about my expectations of you.
Keep testing me, assassin. I'm not afraid to rip your spine out of your body and use it as a back scratcher.
You can very well try, brute.
Ugh! Would you both knock it off?
Come, everything will be taken care of.
Before I could protest, the woman led me out of the room and into the hall. I kept my eyes down, trying to take in more of the situation I was in. I was trapped in the demon world and Diana was out of commission. A demon lord had plans for me. What exactly was he aiming for? I'm pretty sure I'm bait. The woman led me to a room that practically screamed medieval fantasy. Everything was clean, but I still had that old age feel as if no one had ever stepped foot into the room until that moment.
Rest here for now. When Diana is well again, we can discuss what to do.
Thank you. I nodded to the woman before she gently curtsied and left, closing the door behind her. I took a moment to observe my surroundings, interested in understanding the anesthetic. This was fantasy turned into reality. It was like I had gone back in time. Why, though? Was the demon world really that behind in the times, or did magic supersede technology and this was the result? Despite the situation I was in, which was beyond heartbreaking and terrible, my curiosity began to fester in my mind, as if I was given a golden opportunity to learn something new. However, my thoughts began to drift, and I felt myself becoming weak and dizzy, no doubt from the shock and trauma I had just gone through. I stumbled towards the bed, needing to sit down and let everything settle in without passing out. As my rear hit the mattress, however, I let out a small, pleasured sigh. Holy crap, this is comfy. I felt myself fall back, and my entire body simply melted into the softness beneath my body. It was like I was sleeping on a cloud. Was that possible? Demon magic may have had something to do with it, but I was certain that I was drifting into an almost blissful sleep just by lying on the blankets and mattress. Not caring that I was in my dress, I closed my eyes and drifted to sleep. I needed the rest since Diana wouldn't be available for a while anyway. I go to sleep, and apparently I have no nightmares in the demon world. I think about sad things and Damien, and I want to go back. I had to trust those weird people. Eventually, I did rise from my sleep, somehow fully refreshed and calm. How could that have been?
Did you have a good rest?
Yeah, it seemed pretty nice. Are you okay?
Huh. Well, yes, I'm fine now that I've had proper rest.
That's good. Diana shook her head and stepped into the room, closing the door behind her.
So we need to find another way to get you back to the human world. It won't be easy, but I believe it can be done by tonight at the latest.
Tonight? Really? Diana nodded and crossed her arms again, leaning on one hip.
It will take time to get our shadow agents to gather the necessary supplies, but they are not hard to obtain, being that we're in a position of power. You must be lucky.
I guess I'm pretty lucky. Diana sighed before casting a short spell into her breath. In front of me appeared a floating map, almost like a hologram. It showed an entire world with mountains, plains, and forests, and it was all surrounded by sea and water. Diana pointed at a marker that had a purple banner at its tip. It was marked in the center of some mountain and forest area. It was the very center of the map.
That is where we are currently, the center of the abyssal plains.
Diana then ran her finger in a circle around the marker, showing a perimeter around it.
Everything we need for the spell is within this area. It will just take time to gather the materials and prepare it.
I nodded, understanding the situation. I was going to hopefully be able to go home tonight, which is better than not going home at all. So what should I do till then?
My suggestion? Stay in this room. I can mark this room as off limits so that no demon may enter that would confuse you for an intruder and kill you.
That sounds nice.
However, I cannot stop you from whatever you wish to do. Just don't leave the castle.
I probably won't.
We'll get you back to the human world. I promise you that.
I appreciate it. Part of me agreed with Diana's suggestion to stay in the room, but I was really curious. And the one with Matthew, I went and explored, so I'm just going to go explore again, except this time I'm going to go a different direction. I stood and walked towards the door, opening it a crack and looking around. There was no one in the hall, but there were 2 directions to go. I'm going to go left this time. If you want to see what happens when I go right, you can look in Matthew's video. I went with left. I closed the door behind me as I exited my room and began to make my way down the left corridor. Everything was definitely medieval style and it felt a bit small in the hall. It was like I was in a fairy tale walking around in a wedding dress. It felt almost dreamlike. The passage seemed long, decorated with wall candles, paintings, and random curtains and flowers. It was mystical to see, and I smiled. As I approached another fork in the hall, however, I sighed. We're going to go left again. The sound of a heated battle caught my attention. I quickly rushed over to see a door, barely open a crack, and behind it echoed the sound of clashing swords. I peeked in to see Diana and the guard that was with her before an intense sword fight. Now I could take a closer look. The man was extremely handsome and looked human, yet I could sense he was very much a demon just from his presence alone. The man had the upper hand, but it was easy to tell that he was holding back slightly by letting Diana swing her sword again and again at him before attacking her and forcing her to defend. The look on Diana's face showed pure concentration and almost anger as her sword clashed with his. I had never seen Diana this intense before, so to see stress and determination written across her expression was a surprise. Why was she fighting with a sword, though? She had demon magic.
You're holding back! Enough!
Diana jumped back from the man, bringing her sword to her side as the man did the same in perfect sync. She growled before tossing the weapon to him, and he caught it by the hilt with ease.
I told you not to hold back. Didn't you hear me?
The man stared at Diana before gently bringing the swords together and making them vanish into a soft black mist. He began to walk toward her as she turned around and crossed her arms.
You can't treat me as if you are training a child, Sarah. I need to be ready for whatever the Demon Lord throws my way, and you holding back is only a hindrance to me.
She ain't no kid.
I apologize, my lady.
Empty words.
They clicked. They were training, and this man was her trainer, and she was being treated like a novice. Why? Also, he did apologize. Why was she being so harsh about it? Maybe it was a mistake? Diana let out a sigh and walked to the balcony of the room, laying her hands on the railing, leaning over her arms.
As each day goes by, my kingdom, my army, and I are constantly at risk. If I cannot defend myself when my energy runs out, then how will I defend this kingdom?
You
She
will
has
be
a point.
victorious.
I will be slaughtered because of your inability to train me properly.
You know
Get your
why I
shit
cannot,
together,
and yet you still
Sarah.
demand it of me. I cannot bring myself to even potentially harm you.
And that will lead to my death.
What was he talking about? Why couldn't he train her properly?
You will not die, my lady.
Why couldn't
I
someone
promise
else
you
train
that.
her?
I cannot trust anyone who says that to me.
But
She
you
has a
know that
point.
it's true. I will repeat my promise over and over to you until you accept it.
She said no.
That promise comes out of a lie.
I watched as Sarah walked over to Diana and gently wrapped his arms around her from behind. She didn't resist, but she didn't lean into the embrace either.
My love for you is not a lie,
Oh
Azea.
snap, I'm watching a confession.
You do not have permission to use my name.
You are avoiding the
Damn,
subject.
dude.
My feelings for you are real.
Your feelings are false.
They are as pure and true as your golden heart.
I could not believe what I was seeing.
You will defeat the Demon Lord and bring freedom to the Abyssal Plains. You will rise and become the land's new queen and sovereign, and I will stand beside you
Maybe
forevermore.
he's just a gold digger.
Because I love you.
Or maybe he's power hungry.
Deny my love all you may. I have served you and your family my entire life. I could never lie or hurt you. If you truly cannot love me back, then I will remain as your humble protector and servant till the end of my days.
If you really
Waste your
loved
life
her,
on me.
you would just train her properly.
It is not a
so
waste
she
to
doesn't
serve
die.
and protect the woman I love with my life.
You waste your love on
Love.
me.
It's not a waste to love such a wonderful woman.
This is a really interesting back and forth. I didn't know what to make of this. Sarah seemed really dedicated to Diana, yet she was putting up some sort of emotional wall between them that he couldn't break through. It was sad to watch, yet from the posture Diana held, I could tell that she felt her actions were justified. Maybe she was trying to protect him from her. Maybe she didn't want to hurt him. I had seen firsthand what she could do if she had something she needed. This must be how she acted when something needed her. Diana gently sighed. To his and my surprise, Diana turned her body slightly to Sarah in his arms and ran her hand over Sarah's chest, making his uniform top vanish into purple mist and leaving his chest bare.
I need energy.
From me, or do you wish me to?
Oh, snap.
Just give me your energy. I have no time to wait for you to get me a sweet flower.
Ooh, dang, dude. One thing was for certain, he really did love her. The way he held her painted his feelings like a picture, so openly and gentle and loving. Did she love him though? She simply had one hand holding one of his arms while another rested against Sarah's back. Diana's feelings were an enigma. I quickly took the moment to leave, not wanting to disturb them and not wanting to see their moment go any further than that kiss. Is she the only one that doesn't wear clothes all the time, I wonder? I remained in my room until the night came. I was given food which looked like soup. The woman who gave it to me apologized, letting me know that food was scarce until the upcoming harvest, which was a couple of days away. Being that I was only staying the day, I didn't mind much. I was more concerned over what I was given to eat. It was some sort of stew, but with mysterious chunks swimming in its broth. It smelled surprisingly good, but who knew how it tasted? Wow. I didn't realize the time. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it here, guys. I'm honestly a little bit disappointed that we haven't seen any more things with Damien, but maybe this is the route that all the boys eventually converge into. Yeah, if you like this, go ahead and leave a like. If you'd like to subscribe, go ahead. I really appreciate it. And if you have suggestions for games, leave them down below. I will see you in the next one. Bye.